Hello, everyone. My name is always Asmal. Welcome to a special episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat. We've changed out the times specifically for our guest who's in Australia today. This show, we talk about career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be available on podcast by tomorrow. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. If you are joining us live, drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves. It's an adjusted time, so we know we might not get too many live viewers. And if you're watching the recording, drop a two in the comments. My guest for this week is Kudakwashe Thelma Manyumwa, a chartered accountant working in Australia after 16 years of working in South Africa and Zimbabwe. Kuda, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me away.
Let's jump straight in. Tell us your story. Where do you come from? And even outside of work, who is Kuda Manyumwa?
Yeah, I think I'll start with the outside of work. So I am a mom to three amazing kids. I'm very family oriented. So you find that I love spending time with my family. Doesn't matter what we're doing, but as long as we're together, it's good. I'm originally from Zimbabwe. So I grew up Zimbabwe, and I moved to South Africa where I did my articles with massage. And recently moved to Australia to start a new adventure. Yeah.
That was a very, very short background, but okay, we'll try and get some more details as we jump in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I looked through your profile. You worked about 3 years in Zimbabwe, 13 years
Yeah.
in South Africa. What made you make the decision to move to the other side of the world?
You know what? I started working when I was 18 years old. So straight out of high school, I joined EY, Zimbabwe. At that time, I really wasn't sure if I want to be a CA or not, but obviously I started my accounting degree. And when I finished my accounting degree and realized that I had, the required marks to do my CTA, that's just how the story happened. And moved to South Africa, got some amazing experience in South Africa, really worked with some amazing companies, amazing people. And yeah, I think the time came where, we just thought it's time to just, see what our careers can do in a different economy. And Australia, firstly, because of the weather, okay, I like my sun. I like good weather, and Australia's weather is quite similar to what we have in Southern Africa. So yeah, I think, and it was the first opportunity that came through, and that's how we found ourselves on the other side of the world. Yeah.
Maybe talk us through the immigration process. What did you have to do and how long did it take? Give us a guide, please.
Yeah, so the immigration process is quite interesting. So before I got my offer, I was obviously trying to do it on my own. So there is that process where you can, go into the points system and get invited for permanent residence, and then do your application that way. But the audit firms are really quite amazing at the immigration process because there's not much that you do at all. I remember for myself getting the offer around July, and by end of September, the immigration process was done.
Wow.
Mainly because the audit firms have their own lawyers that do help with that process. But because I was thinking about it, I already had a few things in place. For example, the English tests that you're supposed to do, the skills assessment that you need to do, and obviously as a CASA, CAANZ here, they've got a reciprocal agreement with CASA, with SICA. So it's quite easy for you to do your skills assessment. And yeah, so it was a very, very quick process on my side. I think simply because, the audit firms also having the resourcing need that they have, the process does go quite quickly. Yeah.
And maybe talk a little bit about that resourcing need. Is it are they actively looking? Was it just somebody that you applied and you found? What is the need currently?
So the need is great, but obviously mainly for your external auditors. I mean that is like just a global thing, right? Where there's just that need. I was looking, and I really want to stress this because I think sometimes we give up so easily. If you look at my profile with the company that I'm working for now. I think I have about 10 regrets before I actually got the one. So, it doesn't mean that if you get the one regret or the second regret that you need to stop. I think it's just that having that that tenacity if it's something that you really really want. But in terms of resourcing, I think especially if you have that external audit skill set, there's definitely lots of resourcing needed there.
And if you don't mind me asking, were you set on Australia, or did you apply in different locations across the world, or is it okay? I want to move to Australia, so I'm going to apply in Australia, or is it okay? I'm thinking of just going out and traveling, and I want to go somewhere. What was your thinking like?
So my thinking is actually quite interesting because initially I was looking at Canada, right? And I know, I mean, the weather there, it's it's quite cold in Canada, but it was those two, options for me, either Canada or Australia, and obviously Australia came much quicker than Canada, and so that's how we ended up here. And coming here and feeling the cold here, I don't think I would have done very well in Canada, so I'm quite happy with my choice.
It's very cold in Cape Town, and here it's cold in Joburg as well. So yeah, it doesn't suit.
Yeah,
It doesn't suit us. No.
yeah.
For the audience, we'll be taking questions towards the end. So please add your questions to the comment section now so that we don't miss them. I mean, you've been in the work environment for almost a year now in Australia. How is the
Yeah.
work environment compared to South Africa? Tell us about some of the differences and tell us about the similarities.
So I have to say that I've really, really enjoyed working here. The people here are just they're very accommodating. Um, when I started working, obviously there is that, you don't know the systems and you need to, learn through that. I mean, I had some of the young guys just take me on and just teach me how to get that done. And also another lesson there, you're never too old to not learn from a young person. They're quite tech, and yeah, so there's just that amazing environment. Also quite a big focus on well-being, and just making sure that, as a people, that their people are okay. The similarities are, hard work is hard work. The same standard of excellence expected, in South African firms, and where I am now is the same. But yeah, I think for me, I'm just really enjoying that. Just feeling embraced, to be honest with you. And I think not many people, enjoy audit, but I've had a few engagements where I've been helping out with the audit teams, and I'm actually enjoying it. I never thought I'd saying that, but I'm actually really really enjoying it. And yeah, good. I know a lot of people don't like the term work-life balance, but there is sort of like a good balance between work and being able to get that time off, to rest as well, which is quite good.
And do you audit towards the same standards? Obviously, the Companies Act and Income Tax Act is going to be different, but
Yeah.
is it vastly different, or is it okay? There's similarities. You can work your way around it.
So it is the same. So we know we have a IFRS. They just call it Australian Financial Reporting Standards, but it's the same. It's just obviously the tax that's different, but in terms of the auditing standards themselves, it's the same. So if you were to move, you would fit right in, because also it doesn't take long to also just get. I mean, deferred tax is deferred tax. Obviously, there will be a few differences here and there, but it's very very similar.
And like I said, deferred tax is deferred tax. It's complex wherever you go. Like,
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, yeah.
and you mentioned it, so I'm correct that you're back in an audit role. What was it like going back to audit after so many years in commerce? Does it take long to reacclimatize?
Um, some might disagree with me, but I feel once an auditor, always an auditor, to be honest. Especially the way that we do it in South Africa. I mean, it's very robust. The audit experience that we go through, very, all-rounded. So it wasn't difficult at all to get into that space. I think it was almost like, yes, when you leave something you never think you're going to go back to it. I think that was the same with me. I'm mainly in the CFO advisory. I just need to make that clear. So I'm mainly in the CFO advisory, but obviously because I do have the skill set as well, just helping out with some of the other engagements. But it's been good to go back and do planning and and review and do all that stuff that I'd left a couple of years ago. But once you're in it, once you do the first engagement, it all comes back very very quickly.
I think I did audit like 12 years ago. I don't know if it all comes back. We'll have to
All the
see.
assertions will come back. Always, they'll come back. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about. I see on your LinkedIn profile you've got quite a few qualifications and certifications listed. I see you've got a bit of you've got an ACCA certificate for one of the courses and a CFI qualification. Is that chartered financial or anyway
Yeah.
on top of your CASA? So I wanted to maybe just tell us or tell the audience what value did you get out of those two certifications, and tell us a little bit more, especially the CFI one.
Yeah, so I did the valuation, a financial modeling and valuation analyst with Corporate Finance Institute, and I did that straight after coming out of audit. I felt like I needed to build on my Excel skills because once you get into commerce, you're working with a lot of Excel, and I wanted to get myself to advanced very very quickly. Very very amazing course. I could not recommend a better course, and also I think the cost as well. It's not too harsh on the pocket as well. So that was just to help me with that transition into commerce. And I think the last role that I had in South Africa was one that I think very very different to anything that I'd ever done because I'd done, group financial accountant, financial manager, and then into integrated reporting, which is completely different, to your normal figures. And so I wanted to upskill myself in that area. And so that's when I did the ACCA, integrated reporting practitioner course, also just to get me up to speed with integrated reporting. And also that was amazing. Yeah.
Okay, no, I mean that helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
see if we can move over to questions from the audience. We've
Sure.
got a question from Kolofelo who says, "Which agency did you use to get a job in Australia? And if you didn't use an agency, are there ones that you would recommend or that other people talk about?"
Um, I want to say that depending on what you want to do in Australia, I'll speak firstly with getting into the audit firms. Just setting up your profile on the website of the auditing, firm is really really good enough. But I would say just to do your homework in terms of CVs, because the CV setup in Australia is slightly different from what we have in South Africa. So just make sure that your CV is set up in such a way that obviously when you do your application, that it has it's in that format that would obviously make you stand out. But just doing your applications via the websites for the auditing firms, I find to be sufficient. Also, I'd say if you're looking also to get into audit firms, I mean, LinkedIn is very very good at you can see who the HR people are at the different firms, reaching out, chatting to them. I think that's also a very very good way to do that. If you're trying to get into commerce, which is something that I'm not very familiar with because I didn't come in via commerce, but I do know coming here that a lot of people would rather then do the skills assessment and then try get you permanent residence whilst you're still in South Africa, and then come here with a permanent residence, and yeah, you will not struggle to find employment once you do arrive here. So yeah, set up your profile. I mean, I was that person. Every single audit firm had my profile. I wanted to make sure that I was able to apply for different positions and not just limit myself to one particular firm, because it was important for me to make that move.
And what are the people like in Australia? Because I'm assuming, okay, you deal with people in a professional environment, but then I mean, in your home life compared to South Africans, I mean, the question just popped into my head now, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it.
To be honest with you, I was chatting to somebody and I said, I just miss the African vibe, right? I mean, you cannot replace that African vibe. So definitely that vibe, just the big personalities, which is what you find in Africa. Very it's quite different here, right? The people here are very friendly. So I mean, you're getting smiles, wherever you go. People are so willing to help. If you want to know, if you're struggling with something. It's very multicultural as well, this side. So you find that there's so many nationalities that you also get to work with, which is quite nice. I mean, work with a lot of people from Ireland, from the UK, from Canada, from Asia, from India. So it's so many different nationalities, which is also very similar to our Rainbow Nation right in South Africa. But yeah, in terms of the people, I find that you will obviously not get your loud African, but you will be embraced. You definitely friendly people. Yeah.
Any last few words from you, or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
Definitely. I wanted to just mention that, I mean, just looking at my experience over the years, that it's, never be afraid to take a chance, and similar to me being in Australia, and maybe there are some people that are thinking about it, and it might seem very daunting. To for some people it means moving away from close family, from friends and all that. But I think if you are thinking about it, there is so much that your career can benefit from, by just taking that step. So don't be afraid to take a chance. And also, I mean, just looking at my previous role, integrated reporting, no experience with that whatsoever, but it was just one of the most amazing experiences that I had. So don't be afraid to make a move when it's time, and don't be afraid to take a leap when it's something that might be daunting and you're feeling a little bit scared, but it's okay. You'll be happy on the other side. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make a move when it's time. That is
Yeah.
a great
Yeah.
way for the
Yeah.
show to end. If you
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel that it's added value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Kuda, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Uwe, and thank you for having me on your platform. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat. Goodbye.
Bye.